Саламатсыздар ма, құрметті студенттер. Алгебра есептерін шешу практикумы. Бүгін ағылшын тілінде сызықтық теңдеулер мен теңдеулер жүйесін шешу, теңдеудің шешімі, теңдеулер жүйесінің шешімі, сонымен қатар шешу жолдарын өтетін боламыз. Сабағымызды бастайық. Let's get started. So after this lesson, students will be able to solve a linear equation, solve a system of linear equations, method of substitution, and method of elimination. A linear equation is an algebraic equation in which each term is either a constant or the product of the constant and a single variable. A simple example of the linear equation with only one variable, x, may be written in this form: ax plus b is equal to 0, where a and b are constants and a is non-zero. So to solve linear equation, we use this algorithm. First, simplify the equation by using the distribution property and combining like terms. Next, use addition and subtraction properties to get the variable term to one side by itself. Here, remember that to do one side, you must do this process the same to the other side. Now, use multiplication and division process properties to isolate the variable and plug the value you received for the variable x back into the original equation to check your answer. So consider some examples. First, solve this equation to x plus 4 is equal to 10 or the set of integers. First, we simplify given equation. For this, we subtracting 4 from both sides, and given this equation, dividing both sides by 2 simplify this equation, and given x equal to 3. Next, by checking this given value x, we need to find that by plugging into this x, I need to check this equation. So plug into x 3, and 2 times 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10, 10 is equal to 10. So x is a solution of this equation. Next equation, 3x minus 4 is equal to negative 10. Of the set of integers. To solve this solution by moving negative 4 to the other sides, or by adding both sides to 4, we simplify this given equation and take this equation and divided both sides by 3. I simplify this equation and given x equal to negative 4, and plug into x this value negative 4. I check given value. So taking value, so 3 times negative 4 is negative 6, negative 6, negative 4 is negative 10. So this is true. That is, x is equal to is the solution of this equation. Next, we consider how to solve proportions. Proportions can be expressed into forms. In this form, product of the extremes, imported property, we call the first and fourth terms are extremes, and the second and third terms in this form of proportion we call middle terms or means. So we product of extremes and product of means. To solve proportions, we have 3 steps. Applying cross multiplication, it means we multiply A and D, B and C. Make an equation, solve for x this variable. Solve this proportion for x. We need to cross multiply and then solve the resulting equation. We can get an equivalent result using a technique called cross multiplication. So multiply 3 and multiply by 3 and 2x plus 1 and 15 by 1. So products of means and extremes are equal, and take this linear equation. So here is mistakes. It should be 3. So by subtracting to 3 both sides of this equation, we simplify this equation, and in the result we take this equation linear. So in this equation we divided both sides by 6, simplify it. So we take x equal to 2, and by checking you can see that the 2 is solution of this equation. As homework, you may take this exercise in the first and the second tasks. Solve the equation with constant on both sides. In the third ones, in the following exercise, solve the equation with constant and variables on both sides. And here you can solve the proportions. Next, a linear system of 2 equations. It is system with 2 variables and can be written in this form, where any of constants can be 0, with the exception that each equation must have at least 1 variable in it. Also, the system is called linear if the variables are only the first power, are only the numerator, and there are no products of variable in any of equations. Here is an example of a system with numbers. We consider this system. In this lesson, we consider 2 methods of solving systems of linear equations. First method, it is method of substitution. In this method, we will solve one of the equations for one of the variables and substitute this into the other equation. This will yield one equation with 1 variable that we can solve. So once this is solved, we substitute this value back into one of the equation to find the value of the remaining variable. So we use this algorithm to solve system by substitution method. First, we solve one linear equation for I in terms of x or vice versa. Then substitute that expressions for I in the order linear equation. You'll get an equation and x. Solve this, and you have the x coordinate of the intersection. Then plug into either equation to find the corresponding your I coordinate. So consider this system of linear equation. We solve this equation by substitution method. As we say above, the method says that we need to solve one of equation for the one of the variables. In our example, we solve the first equation for I, so let's do that. So in other word, we find in the first equation the variable I. So I is equal to 3x minus 7. Now substitute this into the second equation and open the parentheses. This equation in x, we can solve this equation with x. So it is linear equation with variable x, with one variable x. For this, in this equation, we move to negative 21 into right hand as positive 21 and find the sum. After that, dividing both sides by 11, we find this line and given x equal to 2. So finally, don't forget that to back and find the I portion of the solution. This is one of the more common mistakes students make in solving systems. We can either plug the x value into one of the original equation, in our case in this equation, and solve for I, or can just plug into our substitution that we found in the first step, that we find the value of I. So the solution of the system, we take a pair of x and I values. So the solution is 2 and -1. Next method, it is method of elimination. In this method, we multiply one or both of equation by appropriate numbers, so that one of the variables will have the same coefficient with opposite signs. Then next step is to add the two equations together. Because one of the variables had and the same coefficient with opposite signs, it will be eliminated when we add the two equations. The result will be single equation that we can solve for one of the variables. Once this is done, substitute this answer back into one of the original equation. So, for example, solve the following system of linear equation. So we need to multiply both sides by constant, so that of the variable, one of the variable has the same coefficient with opposite sign. For this, in this example, since the I terms already have opposite singles signs in this term, the signs from front, the signs of I terms are opposite signs. Let's work with these terms. For this, we multiply by first equation by 3 and second equation by 2. Each term of the first equation, each term of the second equation by these numbers, multiply by these numbers. And 3 times 5, it's 15x. 3 times 4 is 12y, and equal to 3, and multiply by 2, 6x minus 12y, and is equal to 4. So we have an equation that can be solved for. So here we take coefficients 12 and negative 12, which that we need for this method. We subtract the second equation from first equation, term by term, and given. No, we don't. We add each. We're adding each equation term by term, and given 15 plus 15x plus 6x is 21x. These terms are eliminated. 3 plus 7 is 3 plus 4 is 7. So we take equation, solve it for x. Dividing both sides by 21, we give x is equal to 1 over 3, which exactly that we found the previous example. That's the only fraction that we had to deal with this point. Answer itself is different from the method substitution. Now again, don't forget to find y. In this case, it will be a little more work than the method substitution. To find y, we need to substitute the value of x into the either of the original equation and solve for I. Since x is fraction, let's note side that in this case, if you plug this value into the second equation, we will lose the fractions at least temporarily. So the solution of this system is a pair of these numbers. As homework, you make you solve this system of linear equations by using substitution and elimination method. So that's all. Thank you. Сонымен біз бүгінгі сабағымызда сызықтық теңдеу, linear equation, сызықтық теңдеулер жүйесі, system of linear equation, екі негізгі объектпен жұмыс жасадық. Оларды шешу барысында, яғни қолданған сөздеріміз бізде ықшамдаймыз, екі жағынан төртке қосамыз, азайтамыз, екіге бөлеміз, көбейтеміз, both sides деп осы терминдерді қолдандық. Одан соң біз сызықтық теңдеулер жүйесінің шешудің екі әдісі, method of substitution, ол біздің қадімгі күнделікті алмастыру әдісі. Бұл жерде алмастыру әдісінде бір айнымалы екінші арқылы өрнектейміз. Қадімгі сол алмастыру әдісінің алгоритмін ағылшын тіліндегі нұсқасы қарастырдық. Келесі әдіс ол алгебралық қосу тәсілі дейміз. Бұл жерде де барынша біз екі айнымалының біреуінің алдындағы коэффициенттері бірдей болатындай, таңбалары әртүрлі болатындай етіп таңдап аламыз да, сосын сәйкес қосамыз немесе азайтамыз. Сол туралы айтылды. Осымен біздің сабағымыз аяқталды. Рахмет, сау болыңыздар.